Hello everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. And in this video I'm going over another gem spawn, and this time we're talking about the Divine Grace spawn that just came out for the two monsters, and the only two monsters in the EVA collab that is out right now that actually give a prestige bonus and a bonus card. So very nice. But anyways, let's actually get into these, because these are not bad monsters. In fact, these are probably the best monsters they have dropped so far. Okay, so I can tell by looking at these, both the abilities remind me of two specific monsters. Besides the AT field that the first one gives, as you can see right here, its ability power of 260, damages 2 times, 100% of the time. Not bad damage, decent damage. It increases stats of all allies by 50% for 60 seconds, and it decreases the stats of all enemies by the same percent for the same seconds. And then it increases usage gains and cast AT field. First thing I think of when I'm thinking of this monster is, to be fairly honest, I am thinking of Romeo right here. Increases stats by 60% and decreases stats by 60% for all enemies, while increasing it for all allies. The only difference, as you can see, no AT field. It casts elevation on all allies, and it only casts awakening on yourself. Very nice. Has their ups and downs and what's not, but yeah, that's what I think of when I'm looking at this monsters. I think of like a higher cost Romeo, which is kind of what it is for the most part. It does have the usage gains instead, so that's very nice, because usage gains helps out a lot more if it's for all allies than, let's say, elevation or whatever. So that is a plus, that is a perk. An AT field could be a potentially good for player versus player buff, to be fairly honest, so that's also good. Okay, so the next one we have is Shinji Kiwaru. Shinji Kiwaru reminds me of, like, it's sort of like a mixture of like Aquarius and Odin. The reason I'm saying that is because it does nearly the same thing as Aquarius, except a little different. If you look at Aquarius, if I have it in my main slot, I don't, so I'm just gonna show you all the way down here. Aquarius cast awakening on all allies. The issue with the awakening is it needs to activate at 60% or lower, so it damages everybody, so that way awakening is activated right away. It heals 5% of their max HP every 5 for 60 seconds. It casts resurrection, so it does the awaken and resurrection as well. Of course they both do damage, but it does the awakening and a resurrection as well. This one does decent damage overall. I think they do around approximately the same amount. I'm not going to say the exact ability power, but it's around the same ability power. I don't think it's any more than 120 of a difference of total ability power. So that's very nice. The only difference between this one is it has the removes resurrection, wards, other damage nullifying effects, damage reflection, continuous healing, damage reduction effects from all enemies. And instead of like instant awakening, Aquarius does instant awakening. This one has awakening standby mode. So you're gonna have to get to that health threshold before it actually activates. So it has ups and downs compared to Aquarius. Obviously it's a better cost, so it's going to give better battle score, but Aquarius activates awakening right away, and not a lot of monsters do that. Legitimately, like, not a lot of monsters do that. Aquarius is one of the very few, and on top of it, it casts resurrection, which is a very nice player versus enemy buff. Player versus player can be helpful. We have the what's it called, resurrection openers now, so it's not as helpful as it used to be. Even then it wasn't as helpful as player versus enemy, but resurrection is a nice, definitely buff to have for player versus enemy regardless. So yeah, this monster is a pretty mixed decision. Again, I would really only go over these for like the prestige bonuses plus the bonus cards. If you're trying to get the top max prestige, or you're trying to maintain your score, that's what I would do these for. These are good monsters definitely, but they're not worth, I'd say, breaking the bank, especially when I legitimately just went over the monsters they are extremely like. Unless you're doing it for battle score. If you need these types of monsters for battle score, like you need a Romeo for battle score, which I really don't recommend, because there's better monsters out there than Romeo for battle score, or this one, I would do it. But again, this one has the awakening standby mode. It's not straight up awakening like Aquarius, so it's not going to be as helpful as Aquarius' awakening if you're trying to do that for like what, guild battles, coliseums, stuff like that. Can be helpful in coliseums for the most part, but Aquarius does it like right away, instantly, like no questions asked. This one doesn't. This one is good though for any anti-Madia, because it removes resurrection, wards, other damage nullifying effects, damage reflection, continuous healing, and damage reduction effects, or any of the Unison priority monsters. because it removes some of their buffs and whatnot that they offer and they give to help protect the people that are still alive after Unison damage to stay alive and whatnot, and make sure they, unless you pop like Kubahira, they die. They have a really high chance of dying. So that's pretty much what it's good for and whatnot. We already have a lot of 36 cost monsters out there that already do stuff like removes damage reflection, damage reduction, continuous healing, and all that funky jazz. We already have a couple. We already have a few. But there's another one right there if you want, and it has like resurrection and awakening if you want. Nothing too special about these monsters, but these monsters are very nice. Let's look at the rates and let's see how good this treasure spawn is and what's not. Okay, so like usual, no rates whatsoever. Whoa, okay, my bad. This was a divine grace. Holy smokes, I didn't get it wrong at first, but I think I was talking about the treasure spawn too much. I was thinking of the other treasure spawns. So this is divine grace. You're gonna have high rates on the SSRs. If you want to do it for first time half off just to get some SSRs, you definitely can, because they have the highest rates for SSRs within here. Maybe you need to do it for recycle metals, I'm not exactly sure, but if you're looking for quick SSRs, definitely the first time half off will do. And we have like little to no rates for obviously the featured monsters, so yep, they're playing that game again. Featured monsters are the only exclusive, like only for the spawn type of gear that is in here. And the jackpot, they offer 500 to 1,000 medals, and then in the side chest they offer 300 to 400, and then in one of the other side chests they offer 150 to 200. So they're nerfing it again compared to the regular price it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to be a divine grace. So divine graces are supposed to be more friendlier towards this type of stuff. But I guess we're not playing that game now. I guess not. Alright, team. Seriously, like what the heck? 700 in the jackpot, 200 in one of the side chests, and then we have 400 in one of the side chests. And they decide to throw rates for the medals as well, which is kind of really stupid, like extremely stupid. But anyways, moving on from there, I'm not going to complain too much about it, because compared to this one, oh, it's a lot better. This one doesn't even have any side chests with medals in it, so I'm not going to complain all too often. So if you were looking before to get one of these weapons and armors and you couldn't, now's the time. Now is legitimately the time, because you're actually having more medals within the side chest, unlike the previous treasure spawn that came out when we first started, or when the collab first started and what so not. If I didn't mention that before, I am very sorry, but yeah, they usually come out with at least 2 different divine grace or treasure spawns. So if you really want to collab stuff like the gear and armor from the metal exchange, you just gotta wait for it. You just gotta wait for it to come out with the next one. The next one can generally be cheaper, depending if the first one's expensive, like this one. Whew, that was stupid. But yeah, they don't offer for any cheaper, but you actually will be able to get more medals at least with this one. So yeah, and they offer a collab character guarantee ticket, which is very, very nice, but still kind of retarded considering that they have once for 28 and 29 cost guaranteed, so expensive in here that it's stupid. Legitimately, it's kind of ironic that they offer it for 7,500 when they already have a recommended pack in here for $37. You can get the collab character guarantee ticket as well. The only difference between both of these is they offer rates for these 2 new monsters that you may or may not get at all 0, because they already have a bunch of other monsters that are not the 2. Like out of 5 out of 2 of them, you might get one of those, and that's depending on the rates. They have the ticket right here that literally does nearly the same thing for so much cheaper. So yeah, very, very, very ironic right there. So that's all I really gotta say about this video. I really recommend it unless you're doing it for the prestige. If you're not doing it for the prestige, I really wouldn't recommend going over any of the stuff at all. It's nice stuff, definitely, but it's definitely not worth what it's worth overall. Like this stuff has abilities that would eventually become free to play, treasure spawn, class spawn, all that funky jazz, and what's not. These are not going to appear in there, but for the most part, they just have very common abilities and they do very common stuff. There's nothing unique or specifically unique about these monsters besides like their artwork and them being collab monsters. They do offer the bow with Fatal Testament double XL at the very end if you get it TUR, but that's as far as I would go. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for watching, and I hope this helped out. This is the AzureWrath, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.